I've never been to Japan, and in a sense it's a country I would absolutely love to go to, and hopefully will. It's definitely on my bucket list. But before Project Emma, I suppose my association with Japan would have been through geography, history, film and books.
If you went out into the street, I'd love to do it actually, and say, what do you know about Japan? They'd say, depending on who they are and how much cinema going they do and how much reading they do, but they'd say geishas, Madame Butterfly, the opera. They'd say Lost in Translation, the film. They'd say bullet trains, Tokyo, high speed, confusion, noise, and so on.
I guess I had some idea of the aesthetics and creativity and the visual that is important to the Japanese culture. I had some clue about that, and I also knew a little bit about quality and how the Japanese culture is pretty much obsessed with continual improvement.
Well, the initial impression was that this wasn't going to work, but as a youth worker, I won't turn anything away. So I wanted this man to engage with the young people in Donegal Pass, and if it worked, well done. If it doesn't work, they've engaged and they've met someone new and they've heard about something different.
I mean, I thought this sounds interesting, very new, very different, and I thought it would be very much geared towards making a public art installation. So I thought community art project, like a mural, painting of a mural, for example. I thought it would be very much about that. But then I realized in the course of Andrew explaining what it's about and what the practice is behind Emma in the Japanese culture, that it was quite different.
It seemed to be something worth trying. I didn't know how it would go down in the congregation because obviously they had never had to do something like that before, but I was quite optimistic.
It came at a time when this community actually was really fractured, and we were working with a lot of people that were really disconnected within their own community. And then for Andrew to come along with this brand new idea to sort of say, look, here's something really that a community can really grab and take on and own for themselves.
What I think was really good about it is that it happened, that the project actually came to fruition.
I guess the best thing about it was that it was very much about doing it. It had like a bias for action, as we say. It's about doing it rather than talking about it, and it's kind of like you go there and you get engaged with it, you as a member of the community, you as a participant, just it's hands-on. So and before you know what you're doing, you're actually contributing towards the creation of it.
Because I think there has been very little, if anything, that has involved so many people doing the same sort of thing over a quite a short period of time.
To engage adults in Donegal Pass in painting something that they're going to hang up and burn at a later stage, it wouldn't have been an Emma, it would have been an effigy of something else probably.
Yes, in a small group of about 8 or 9 participants at that stage, I did one and I have it here, so this is one. And I didn't really have much of a thought about exactly what I would do, but I knew I wanted it to be very simple, and perhaps because it was Project Emma, for some reason I did paint the rising sun or setting sun.
I had painted one, and I had painted one for health, happiness and family. And the reason for doing that was basically when you remove everything else artificial from around you, the things that really mean anything to you is your family and your health. Everything else you can do without.
I painted a lotus flower. And I painted the lotus flower because I have a tattoo of a lotus flower, and it is very symbolic to me and to a friend that is no longer here. So my aspirations and my hopes and my wishes were sort of more general.
I didn't paint one, but I do have one, and it's hanging in my office over there, actually. You can probably see it. And the reason why I didn't paint it is because I was really precious about what I wanted to put down as my wish and my hope and dreams. So I got really precious about it, which is probably not what you're supposed to do, but...
Yeah, I bought into it. Yes, of course I did. Yeah. I went to the youth club one evening. I called in. I knew the painting was taking place. I knew some young people were getting involved, and I called in. And Leanne, the youth leader, she was involved, and some of the other youth leaders were all involved, and I thought this was great. And I thought, okay. So I sat down and I started talking to some of the young people. And I said, well, what are you painting? And why are you painting it? Now, I was asking them the questions you're asking me. And they were telling me, because Terry, you know, we're painting for hope, and we're painting for this, and we want the peace, and we want all that. And if you do it, and it was amazing that one of the young people says, if you did it, you make it better. And I says, so I painted a heart because of my illness around my heart. So I painted this heart, and that was for me the sort of the young person talking to me about how they were starting to actually believe that those things would happen. So who was I to take that away from them? So I had to join in, and I wanted to join in, and I put it up on the board as well, and I burned it as well. So yeah, I did it, yes, and I was happy doing it. Yeah.
Well, the area does need more connectivity. I suppose any inner urban area does, but it's how you get people to come out of their boroughs to do something together.
People came together to participate, and they also came together to celebrate what they have achieved of putting together this wall, right? So the people took ownership of their contribution, and they went up to the wall and said, this is my piece, they were together doing that. So it's a strange clash between, your individual contribution and the collectiveness of it, and I like that. I think that is about, unity, isn't it?
Well, during the project, of course, there was togetherness, there was connectivity between adults and young people, and there was connectivity between races as well, because there were some ethnic minority young people who had been involved in the project also. There were some people with learning difficulties and some people with disabilities. So there was that whole sort of twine of a community structure were coming together.
The noise of them, like the wind chime sort of effect, is gorgeous. Andrew had explained all that, but it's only when you actually see it up and you see, the work that everybody has done. But the sound was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
I thought brilliant. I mean, it's so like in your face, bright, beautiful. Against the grey church wall, which is like the old, and then the new.
I looked for mine. It wasn't there. Well, it was. I tell you, it was there. It was hidden behind some child had put theirs in front of mine. So I wanted to find out who that child was because I was annoyed with him. But no, seriously, I actually thought it was lovely.
The photos that you see of the lakes in Japan with those huge red sort of monumental temple structures in bright red, and that immediately the frame of for the Emmas was back to that wonderful sort of red glossy colour.
I really liked the dark wall against the red, but when the Emma were on it, I really liked it because they do clatter. So it's It's not a passive piece of art. It's eye-catching in the sense that it's different colours and they make a noise and they are movable and so on.
It was impressive, and a lot of hard work had went into that, not only by the people, participants, but obviously Andrew as well.
I was worried before Andrew put them up. I thought, that's never gonna last, you know. I expected that they would be taken away or, you know, broken up, or I don't know. But I don't know why, maybe I'm just cynical, but I was very happy to see that that they would stay on for days.
Those young people owned that. You know, it wasn't even so much about the adults, it was about the young people.
It's the case because the community had ownership. It was their work, it was their Emma, it was what they had produced.
We shouldn't be surprised that the people at Donegal Pass, who maybe have a reputation of being quite hard-nosed because they come from the inner city, they call a spade, they tell you what they think. If they don't like you, you know, they'll just tell you where to go. But on the other hand, they have moral values and ethics like everybody else.
I love the burning of it. First of all, it was well supported, and the reason it was well supported that night was because it was the 11th night, right? So it attached itself to the culture that was happening within the community at that particular time anyway.
There was a good crowd come out. There must have been, I'd say, 60, 70 people that came out to it, and a lot of the kids and a lot of the people who actually took part were there.
That notion of, you know, the flames consuming the wishes and sending them up into some kind of alternative space. Yeah, I mean, it was dramatic, and I suppose it was part of the artistic process as well, in a way, you know, to move from, the whole thing was the art project, wasn't just the wall, which is probably where I get attached to.
Yes, I think it will happen again. I think the purpose of it was that Andrew wanted to come in, he wanted to deliver the workshops, he wanted the programme to have a start, a middle and an end that flowed really, really well. And then for the community then to take ownership of that and continue that again this year, next year, and for it just to roll on. So should it happen again? Most definitely. Will it happen again? Most definitely.
I think it's very difficult to achieve that, you know, to get somebody to, you know, take ownership of it but not hoard it. You know, you don't want someone to take it and then control the process. You want it still to belong to the people that are actually engaged in it. And it's very hard to get that balance right, to get someone to kind of control it and keep it safe, but also give it out to people to control. So that's a very difficult relationship of control, really, isn't it?
You need an animator. Andrew's not going to be here, he's going to be elsewhere with other projects in other places, no doubt.
I think it should be an integral part of the community. I think it's something that should be happening all of the time.